Explaining connections in Chapter 2, showing how studies relate to each other and to your topic. In Chapter 2 of a thesis, commonly known as the literature review, one of the key objectives is to establish connections between different studies and to demonstrate how they relate to the research topic. This process goes beyond summarizing existing works. It involves critically analyzing and synthesizing research to create a coherent narrative that supports the study's theoretical foundation. A well-structured literature review shows relationships between studies, highlights trends and gaps, and situates the current research within the broader academic landscape. This section discusses how to effectively explain connections between studies and relate them to the research topic. Why connecting studies is important. When discussing past research, simply listing individual studies without establishing relationships among them leads to a fragmented review. Instead, an effective literature review should identify common themes and theoretical foundations, compare and contrast different perspectives, show trends and developments in the field, highlight research gaps that justify the study, demonstrate how prior studies relate to the researcher's work. By linking studies together, the literature review becomes a structured argument rather than a collection of isolated summaries. Ways to show connections between studies. There are several strategies to effectively explain how different studies relate to each other and to the research topic. These include thematic organization, chronological discussion, comparing perspectives, and citing supporting or conflicting evidence. A. Grouping studies by themes. One of the most effective ways to show connections is by organizing studies thematically. Instead of summarizing studies individually, researchers should group them based on shared ideas, concepts, or frameworks. For example, if the research topic is the impact of technology on education, studies can be grouped as follows. Studies on student engagement in online learning, e.g. Smith 2020, Lee and Brown 2019. Research on digital literacy and academic performance, e.g. Johnson 2018. Carter and Green 2021. The role of AI in personalized education, e.g. Williams 2022. Kim 2020. By grouping studies based on themes, the literature review naturally reveals connections between different works, allowing the researcher to analyze patterns in the literature. Example of thematic connection. Several studies, Smith 2020, Lee and Brown 2019, have examined the role of online learning in increasing student engagement. However, while Smith 2020 highlights the benefits of interactive digital tools, Lee and Brown 2019 emphasize the challenges of maintaining motivation in virtual classrooms. These findings suggest that while technology can enhance engagement, it must be carefully designed to prevent disengagement. B. Comparing perspectives and theory studies may have similar or contrasting viewpoints on a topic. Analyzing how different researchers agree or disagree helps establish relationships between studies. If multiple studies support a particular theory, they reinforce its validity. If studies present conflicting results, the researcher must analyze why these differences exist. Example of contrasting views. While Jones, 2017, argues that artificial intelligence, AI, improves student learning through personalized feedback, Carter, 2019, contends that AI may lead to over-reliance on automation, reducing critical thinking skills. These differing perspectives highlight the ongoing debate on the role of AI in education, suggesting a need for further research on balancing technology use and independent learning. C. Showing historical trends, chronological connection in some cases. It is useful to show how ideas have evolved over time by organizing studies chronologically. This method is especially helpful when discussing the progression of theories or technological advancements. For example, in a study on distance education, the literature review might track developments from traditional correspondence courses to online learning platforms and AI-driven education. Example of chronological connection. Early studies on distance education, Moore, 1990, Peters, 1993, focused on correspondence-based learning, where students received materials by mail. As internet technology advanced, research shifted to web-based learning, Anderson 2005, Garrison 2010. More recent studies, Siemens 2019, Johnson 2022. Explore the use of AI and machine learning to create personalized learning experiences. This progression illustrates how technological innovation continuously shapes educational methods. Thesis. Citing supporting or conflicting evidence. When multiple studies examine the same topic, they may arrive at similar or contradictory conclusions. By discussing these relationships, researchers show patterns, debates, and research gaps. Example of conflicting evidence. Several studies, Clark 2015, Lopez 2017, suggest that gamification enhances student motivation by incorporating rewards and challenges. However, a recent study by Turner 2021 contradicts this, finding that extrinsic rewards may lead to short-term engagement but hinder long-term learning motivation. This conflicting evidence suggests a need for further investigation into the long-term effects of gamification on student learning behaviors. By highlighting agreements and disagreements, researchers present a comprehensive picture of the existing knowledge and justify why further research is needed. Connecting studies to the research topic. While it is essential to connect studies to each other, it is equally important to relate them to the research problem. The literature review should make clear connections between past research and the researcher's study. To achieve this, identify studies that directly relate to the research question. Explain how the current study builds on or fills gaps in past research. Use transition statements that connect previous findings to the study's objectives. Example of connecting studies to the research topic. Previous research has explored the benefits of gamification in education. Clark 2015, Lopez 2017. However, these studies focused primarily on higher education settings, leaving a gap in understanding its effectiveness in secondary schools. This study addresses that gap by examining how gamification influences motivation among high school students. This approach ensures that the literature review is not just a summary of existing research, but a critical synthesis that supports the study's relevance. Using transition words and phrases for smooth connections to effectively connect studies. It is useful to use transition words such as agreement, similarly, likewise, in line with, consistent with, contradiction. However, in contrast, on the other hand, contrary to cause-effect. As a result, consequently, this suggests that progression, over time, recently, in earlier studies, more recent research. For example, smooth connection, using transitions. Early research on digital learning, Johnson 2010, emphasized its flexibility in education. More recent studies, Williams 2021, suggest that digital platforms can also improve collaborative learning, demonstrating a shift from individual-focused to interactive learning environments. Conclusion: strengthening the research narrative effectively. Connecting studies in Chapter 2 ensures that the literature review is cohesive, analytical, and relevant. Key strategies include grouping research by themes to highlight common ideas, comparing perspectives to show agreements or conflicts, using chronological sequencing to demonstrate historical trends, citing supporting or conflicting evidence to showcase academic debates, relating past studies directly to the research topic to justify its significance. By synthesizing research rather than just summarizing, the literature review becomes a well-structured argument that strengthens the foundation of the study. If you like this kind of content, click subscribe to be updated on the next tips on how to write Chapter 2. Thank you!